Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So, people, I am going to be talking once again from Food for Thought, this fabulous little book from the Hazelden Meditation Series for people who struggle with food issues, which has certainly been my case. Though I'm happy to report that I am once again clean, kitchen is closed, tea bar is open. And today is actually April 7th, and this is on appetite. Appetite. And for me, the greatest grace is when I'm obsessing about food and I'm able to actually ask myself, am I living to eat or eating to live? And when the answer is living to eat, then the food is done. The food is done. It's only when I'm eating to, yeah, it's only when I'm eating to live. Why do I, this just don't work for me. I eat to live as I nourish my body. I live to eat as in compulsive nightmare. Yeah. So anyway, only when I'm eating to actually live is when I can surrender and not participate in the food. If I'm living to eat, my appetite is it voracious? Ferocious? Voracious. Ferocious and voracious. That there's no way that anything will satiate me. No amount of food is enough. I mean, geez, I've been there, going from drive-through to drive-through to drive-through and still not finding what it is. Going through the cupboards and still not finding what it is. Taking a bite of everything and still not finding what it is. Because, of course, contentment is never found in food itself, right? It's only nourishment. And if you're eating proper food, certainly like fruit and vegetables and healthy plant-based fats, your body is content and will be satiated because it has all the proper macro, micro fiber that it needs. So it's not even about the body. Is the body handled? If it is, then it's a mind thing. And is probably spiritual or emotional and needs to be addressed, not eaten over. And of course, in talking to you, I'm talking to me, right? Okay, so this reads appetite. Appetite grows as it is fed. The more we eat, the more we want to eat. If we let any physical appetite take over, whether it is for food, sex, security, or whatever, we become its slave. So this isn't the amount of food that you're required in a day, which is certainly worthy of a plan and, making sure that you're getting what's appropriate for your height, your age, your activity level, etc. It's that appetite, that growling, that obsessive compulsive nature, right, that's growing. And again, whether it's sex, whether it's food, if it's security, certainly somebody who relies on others to meet their needs, whatever it is, we become a slave to it. I've expressed this many times, even while I'm teaching, even today, and I'm glad I mentioned that because I'm going to go ahead and give myself a few more of my beautiful glass beads for my urge jar, to appease my inner child and my monkey mind, because I should just expect this. But when I'm teaching, if anything is out of order, like I realize I'm not as well prepared for a lesson as I thought, or we're not moving at the pace that I had planned in my mind, and I start to get anxiety or panic, right away I start obsessing about food. Right away I start planning to binge on my way home. Right away I start negotiating with myself and saying, and maybe myself, to be fair, could be a little bit of a monkey mind named Coconut. But I start this whole negotiation where, I could have a little of this. Well, it wouldn't hurt if I just had. And how bad is that anyway? And you know what? And then, this is all going on while I'm teaching. I'm totally engaged with the kids and my mind is going nuts. Just saying, you're not required to take care of yourself. Nobody else takes care of yourself. the conversation gets so dark and so awful. And luckily, when I'm in my adult, as praise God I was today, I'm able to get the conversation to the point of, I hear you, and I'm going to reward you with, beads in our urge jar. I'm going to reward you with a sticker on our calendar. All of these little things that I'm just trying to shut down that mind. And one thing that I changed, and I'm trying to think if I just expressed this the other day, I may have, where I was saying that I had been intermittent fasting and just not eating anything because of my braces. Anyway, so yeah, I'm happy to give myself another sticker for a job well done. But anyway, so I had been not eating until at least 4, 5, 6, even 7 o'clock at night, depending on what my day was. And I became binge prone, which is why I think I faltered a week or two ago. And I decided that I'm just going to have to figure out how to eat during my day. I can still intermittent fast, but it's more like 16 hours instead of 20 or 22 hours. And so I've been back on plan of just wheatgrass juice powder in the morning, 2 smoothies, one around 11 o'clock and one around 3 o'clock, and then a snack around 5 o'clock or so. And then finally a very simple plant dinner, if you will, meaning trying not to have fruit and things like that, which I've done in the past. So it's been interesting. One thing, when I was intermittent fasting, I just didn't think about food at all. I used the time to work in my classroom. I went walking at lunch, and I certainly am still walking at lunch. And in fact, dare I say, running at lunch. But it's interesting because I'm stoking my metabolism a few times a day, and I'm feeling it. It's making me suddenly have an appetite. Like if you haven't stoked your appetite, your metabolism yet, by not eating anything, it tends to lay low. But when I'm actually eating 3 or 4 times a day again, I'm like ravenous, which is just hilarious because, again, I have a plan. I'm getting my calories. I can't necessarily be ravenous, but it's that literal inputting of food several times a day, which I haven't done for months and months. But what I was doing wasn't working for me, so I'm trying to change it up. Okay, so in continuing to read this is based on the 12 steps. So, of course, that includes a higher power. And as I've explained, my higher power is a God of the universe, but it does not by any means have to be that. For some people, it's a pet rock. For some people, it's a support group they're in. For some people, it's a social media personality who's living the way they hope to. It's anything outside of yourself, a power greater than yourself in the moment that you're powerless, right? And you must be, or wouldn't have brought you to your knees and to the point where you are, presuming you're struggling with whatever it is, but in this case, food. So it reads, if we do not nurture our relationship with our higher power, so that God is the ultimate authority for everything that we do and the object of our greatest desire, then we will be enslaved by one or more of our physical appetites. When God is perceived to be the greatest good and the source of all joy and satisfaction, then physical appetites fall into their proper place. Again, that eating to live rather than living to eat. First, we seek spiritual growth. Our primary desire is to do God's will for us as He enables us to do. When He is our master, His love feeds our spiritual appetite, and we begin to know the inner peace and satisfaction which the world cannot give. And the mantra, if you will, is, may my desire be always for you. Now, I know that's hard for a lot of people, but remember, this is Jules, blessed, capital B, vegan. And this is the blessed part. But, when I first joined Overeaters Anonymous so many years ago, I struggled with the idea that a higher power did not need to be God of the universe. That freaked me out. I was like, oh no, that's sacrilege. What direction are these people going in? And God is so merciful. He's not confused. He's not confused about what people think about Him or what people rely on Him or anything else. He's so much bigger than that. And again, it may not even be a He for you. I'm just using that for the simplicity of conversation. So that is true. I've often said that my problem with compulsive overeating is that it leads to every sin I ever commit. It leads to my lying, a lot of deception around food. I'm stealing, whether it's literally taking food or eating food that isn't mine, period. Uh, excuse me, isolation, where I don't honor myself and I start to hide and isolate because sin often takes place in the dark, right? The list goes on and on. So many of the sins, which is simply turning away from God's grace, that I find myself participating in are surrounded by food. So I absolutely agree that if I keep my eye on a power greater than myself, I won't be so petty or obsessed with the insanity of a voracious appetite that cannot be satiated with food. And I just know that's so clear, but it's easy to say in this moment when I am not in insanity or binge mode. But that's why we say it. That's why we make a plan for the times that we falter. That's why we say it when we're strong, to rewatch a video later and remember that grace, right? All right, let's read one more time a clean version. Appetite. Appetite grows as it is fed. The more we eat, the more we want to eat. If we let any physical appetite take over, whether it's for food, sex, security, gambling, whatever, we become its slave. If we do not nurture our relationship with our higher power so that God is the ultimate authority for everything that we do and the object of our greatest desire, then we will be enslaved by one or more of our physical appetites. When God is perceived to be the greatest good and the source of all joy and satisfaction, then physical appetites fall into their proper place. First, we seek spiritual growth. Our primary desire is to do God's will for us as He enables us to do it. When He is our master, His love feeds our spiritual appetite and we begin to know the inner peace and satisfaction which the world cannot give. Amen. And the mantra, may my desire be always for you. All right, my friends, like if you like, join us if you haven't, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you. Can you relate at all? And best of all, know that you're blessed.